Pick'em show. What's up, buddy?
Hey, glad to be back.
NFL week 14. Sorry,
Week
NFL week
14.
14. A lot to dissect on this podcast. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Buffalo and the Niners in Glendale was kind of I don't know what to say. Kind of a shit show on the defensive side of the ball. Nick Mullins actually didn't look too bad, surprisingly, but just no pass rush whatsoever. Um,
Yeah, he didn't look too bad. I think that, yeah, sorry. And again, there's a little bit of lag between us. So if I talk over you, I do apologize. And that's probably why.
yeah.
But yeah, no, Nick Mullins didn't look too bad. The defense definitely got picked apart. Josh Allen, it's just one of those games where he looked lights out.
Yeah,
You
our
know?
defense went 2 games without giving up a pass touchdown, and then all of a sudden we give up 4 of them. Josh Allen just looks dialed in, and there's only 1 sack. That's not going to get the job done. Like Keegan said last week, the defense is going to have to score points. 1 sack, and Fred Warner only had 6 tackles, and you're forcing the ball to Tevin Coleman for no reason, and he had negative yards. It was a shit show.
Yeah. And that, honestly, that touchdown that we should have had, Kendrick Bourne couldn't get over the goal line, and then freaking Nick Mullins plays happy feet and draws that false start, and that pissed me off more than anything because granted the game was still a 3-score game, but if we scored a touchdown, it would have been 10-point game. Then we stop them 3 and out, we get a touchdown or even a field goal, then we still have a chance. But
yeah,
regardless, we're still playing catch up. And there was a stat that I saw that I was shocked about, and you probably saw it too. And I think it was like when trailing by more than 7 points in the second half, we're 0-24 under Kyle Shanahan. I was like, wow, that's an eye opener right there. We had plenty of comeback games with Jimmy, but I guess just not more than 7 points at halftime.
Yeah, no Nick Bosa or D Ford is starting to show. Those scars are starting to show for sure. We couldn't get to Josh Allen at all.
No,
And
he was having his way with us for sure.
for sure. And the thing with that offense is like if you're playing zone the whole game, which they didn't really make any adjustments, but when you're playing zone and you're letting Stephon Diggs get 10-yard curl routes, Cole Beasley is just wide fucking open, like all the time.
Every time. Yeah. Well, they were even pointing it out. They're like we just don't have the athleticism to run man, and we don't have the pass rush to run zone.
Exactly.
So we just, we lose both ways. So, we've been having this struggle all year. We've been feeling that pain from Bosa. I mean, since that happened, week 2 in MetLife. No, we've been feeling that pain all year. I mean, God bless Hyder. I mean, feels like he's the only one really doing anything. Deion Jordan got 1 lucky sack, but
yeah, exactly.
But besides that, I mean, we really couldn't contain that guy, and you give that guy open space, and he plays kind of like Big Ben. He doesn't get rid of the ball, so he just waits, and we have a pretty good pass defense, but again, in the zone, it's just a matter of time before he buys time and someone's open. And Cole Beasley just happened to be open all the time. And then Stephon Diggs picked us apart as well. He had his way with us. He was, whether he was on Sherman or any other person, no one could cover that guy. And it was frustrating to watch. It was a frustrating game. Just another one of the Niners' disappointments this season.
Yeah, there was also.
I was surprised we went into the game as a favorite. Right. Honestly,
there's also that one stat that you probably saw with Pat Mahomes, Andrew Luck, and Nick Mullins. Like the first 13 games, 13 starts, touchdowns. Like what?
Most passing yards.
Oh, that's
in the first
13
games. Yeah, it was like 3,900 passing yards in his first 13 games. But he also came in on the second half of the season when we were already not even in the playoff hunt. And, so there's a lot of garbage time yards there. Nothing against Nick Mullins, but
Oh.
again, we all thought he was a great quarterback. Teams didn't have a lot of film on him. And now he's dealing with real adversity and having to bring us back into games when there's a lot more at stake because we're still in the playoff hunt and he just can't get it done.
What I don't get is when it's just a normal game flow and there's no pressure on him, he doesn't do very well. But in those crunch time moments, like the end of the game where it's like garbage time, get up the field, they get up the field. It's like they put together like a 70-yard drive in the span of like a minute. But then the whole game, it's just lagging offense. But when it's like, yo, get your ass going, he gets his ass going.
It's also play calling too. They tighten everything up in the beginning, and I didn't really like the play calling in the beginning. We didn't see Deebo Samuel until the third quarter.
Yep.
I did like that bomb that Mullins threw to Ayuk. It was like a 50-yard bomb. I was like, damn, you never get to see that as a Niners fan, especially when Jimmy G's on the field. So that was fun to watch. But I just think the Bills are a much better team than us. And you know what? Again, those couple big pieces make a huge difference, and those couple of pieces are the quarterback. Everyone's screaming at the TV, quarterback play, announcers, quarterback play, until you become blue in the face. But another couple key pieces on the D line, and maybe it's a different game. But missing Joey Bosa. Letting go of DeForest Buckner, even though I do like Javon Kinlaw, I think he's going to be a big time player. He's just not there yet in a pass rush sense. And that's when we're needing these guys because we're falling behind in games. And then D Ford, playing all of 8 games in 2 years or something like that. We're really struggling with that pass rush, and we can hold up against pocket passers. But anyone that's got any sort of mobility to them as a quarterback, they buy those couple extra seconds, and that's all they need to pick us apart. And you see it, it's frustrating.
Yeah, I guess one of the bright spots is, when they didn't take CeeDee Lamb, they didn't take Jerry Jeudy. Some people were upset.
Yeah.
But Brandon Ayuk, man, this guy is better. I'm sorry, he's better than both those guys.
Stud.
He's going to be a stud. Yeah,
I don't know if he's better than Justin Jefferson. Granted, they utilize him a lot more, and Ayuk hasn't been playing every game because of COVID, because of injuries, whatever. But you just see it. He jumps off the screen to you. Yeah. I mean, he can do it all. He can do Devo's job and be a route runner, because that's what separates him from Devo is he can actually run routes. And I love Devo. Nothing against Devo. I think they both fit our scheme perfectly, and I love them both on the field like that. But no, I think Ayuk is like a diamond in the rough, man. He's gonna be a stud for years to come.
He has shades of Tyreek Hill, which is crazy to say, but he does. He does
with a lot more length.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
The guy is dangerous. You saw him do that top 10 the hurdle. Yep. What was that, 4 or 5 weeks ago? That was a primetime game too, I believe. I forget who we were even playing.
I think that was Philly. I think
that was Philly
or LA.
Yeah.
Was it Philly?
I think that it was Philly. He did that hurdle, and then we just didn't have quarterback play, and we ended up turning the ball over and losing. But anyways, Ayuk is a special talent. Like, for those of you who are watching and Niners really aren't on your radar and you haven't watched too many games of the Niners, next time the 49ers are playing, tune into Brandon Ayuk. Number 11, looks like Alvin Kamara the way that his drip is. He's all swagged out. But the dude is going to be a Pro Bowl player as early as next year for sure.
He's my favorite. That's my next jersey. I've made up the mind. I had an Alex Smith back in the day, number 11. Now I gotta keep it rolling. Get the Brandon Ayuk.
Oh yeah, and Keegan went to ASU, so we're always throwing up the forks when he scores. We're like, forks nice. Up. Yeah.
So first game of the week, we have the New England Patriots at the Los Angeles Rams. The line On this game, the Rams are favored by 5. The Patriots basically need to win out, and they have been just improbable games right now. This one's in LA. I guess they get to stay in LA, right? Wasn't the last one? So they're in the same stadium.
Yeah, they stay in LA. So yeah, same stadium they share with the Chargers. So Patriots are going back to back in LA.
I got I think this is gonna be a close game actually, but the Rams have just been playing pretty good football. They have the number 2 overall defense. They've allowed the 3rd fewest passing yards per game, and Cam Newton already has 9 picks. So you mix those turnovers with a pass rush that can definitely get to him and make him run outside the pocket. I really don't see the Patriots coming away with this one. I don't see it. I mean, who knows? Anything can happen, but I definitely think the Rams are trending up with their offense. Their defense is lights out. 27-21 Rams is my pick, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots somehow pull it out because they're surprising me and everybody else at this point.
Yeah, and it's not by the hand of Cam Newton either. Like you said, I mean, the turnover ratio. I mean, the guy barely throws 100 yards. He threw under 100 yards once again last week. He's just a bona fide play caller / running back at this point. I mean, Bill Belichick's calling the shots, but you know what I mean. He just he's a running back that can throw the ball every once in a while, and so it's a one-dimensional team. This Patriots team. Bill Belichick always has them well coached, so they're going to be in any game that they play. They're not really going to get blown out. They control the clock very well. Defense is settling in much better on the Patriots side. On the Rams side, I think Goff's obviously the better quarterback. The Rams are hitting a streak right now, hitting a stride. I consider the Niners a good team, so it was a close loss to us. But besides that, I think they're on a winning streak. Besides that, I think they're like 5 wins of the last 6. They're trending up for sure. Interesting stat with the Patriots is in 2 games they've only their offense has only succumbed 244 yards in 2 games. So they're doing it with special teams. They're doing it with defense, getting good yardage or good field of play, and they always start off slow. They're averaging 2.1 points per first quarter this year. So I could see them starting off slow. And I think with this Rams defense and with their dynamic offense, I think it's a recipe for disaster. I don't think you can start slow against this Rams team. And without having a pass game like the Patriots, I don't think you can shoot it out at the end and squeak out a win. I think the Patriots, when they do win, they set the tone early with their defense. They get in good field position. They dominate in the second quarter, start off the second half strong. But I think Rams start off solid in the first half, build up, a 10-point lead. The Patriots, I think they they struggle to get back in this game. And relatively speaking, because the Patriots do have pretty decent defense, the line is 44 point, or not the line, but I guess that would be the line, right? Would be 44.5 points. I like the under, honestly, just because I don't think that there's going to be a ton of points scored. I think the Rams come up early, and I think they just hold them off and win the game. I see them covering the 5 points. I see them winning by a touchdown. Just because I think the Rams come up big. I think the Patriots do some moves here in the second half to make it somewhat close, but I like the Rams to win. I like them to cover the 5 points, and I like the under. I'm betting on the better QB.
Yeah. We have the Houston Texans at the Chicago Bears in Chicago with the weather probably going to be inclement. It's only a 1-point spread with Houston as the favorite. This is an interesting game because the Texans are starting to really pick up the pace. They're missing Will Fuller. They're missing Bradley Roby, of course, on defense. Suspensions for both those guys. We don't know if it's the last time we ever see Will Fuller in a Texans uniform. It might be. We will see. Deshaun Watson, he threw for 341 yards last week against a really great defense. And I think that this is the coming out party for Kiki Kuti to really step up and emerge as that guy. The Bears just look horrible. What have they lost? 6 in a row? I mean, it's something god awful like that. They can't pull their.
I think they're like 6-1 in the last 7.
1-6
or 1-6. Sorry, yeah, opposite.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
For a team that started off 5-1, had all these aspirations for they do have a solid defense. They really do. It's not a bad defense. It's an offense that is really just lagging behind right now. What are they? I think they're 30th overall. 30th overall offense. They're not getting it done. You put Trubisky there, you put Foles there. It's not going to matter. David Montgomery is doing what I thought he would do. These rookie or second year running backs, they take some time sometimes. He's averaging 4.7 yards a carry in these last couple games, which is great. He's playing awesome. I just don't see them taking this game, even though they're at home. I like the Texans, and I don't think it's going to be close. I think Deshaun Watson can step it up and just air the ball out. My score is 26-14 Texans.
All right. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good assessment of this game, Andrew. The Texans, they've been scoring points even without Will Fuller last week. He showed that he could, put the team on his back and find receivers. Mitch Trubisky actually played pretty well last week. That being said, I think the Bears defense is wearing a little bit. They've been giving up a lot of yards to tight end specifically. So I could see this being a decent Jordan Akins game. I think Kiki Kuti picks up where he left off. I think he has a monster game. I'm not really interested in this game at all, to be honest with you. Probably won't watch it. But if I have to pick someone, I'm going to pick the Texans. They're rolling a little bit more. I like the quarterback play as of late. Deshaun Watson, franchise quarterback. I think they cover the 1.5 points. I think they win big, just like you said. It'll be close in the beginning because the Bears defense will be fresh. I think they're on the field way too much because the Bears offense literally does not do anything. Like I said, Mitch played better last week, but again, it's not saying much. This Bears team is a big disappointment for any Chicago fans. Not touching anything. The 45 points is I'm not touching the over or the under. I'm just going to say Texans win the game. They win it by more than 1.5. This one's pretty simple. And then, again, I think Jordan Akins, I think, has a big game. So if you play fantasy, I would stream him because he's probably available.
Yeah. So that means we're going to see Allen Robinson's hair once again.
Yeah, that back mullet fade or whatever you call it.
Minnesota Vikings at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one is a 6.5-point spread with the Buccaneers as the favorites. Tom Brady has the 8th most passing yards in the NFL right now against a Vikings defense that's 23rd overall. And basically just the offense holding that team together in all senses, in all facets of the game. It seems like that Jaguars game, they went to overtime. Everybody knew the Vikings would pull it out somehow because it seems like they've been doing that every week. What is that, 2 weeks in a row that
they just squeak by?
Just squeak by. And if you're squeaking by the 32nd overall defense, as the Vikings did, I mean, there's a lot to be desired going up against the Buccaneers at home, who they win literally every other week. It seems like
Yep.
somehow they
Yep.
have managed to have a great record. They're in playoff contention. If you get Tom Brady to the postseason, watch out, because this has been an up and down, rocky road season. We don't know what's going to happen. Ronald Jones has been a really bright spot, but I think ever since Antonio Brown joined this team, things have just not been the same offensively. They've been forcing him the ball. Chris Godwin looks to be questionable this week. Mike Evans has managed to stay on the field.
Well.
He's playing well. I do like the Buccaneers not to cover. I think it's going to be a close game. I have a 34-28 victory for the Buccaneers, but I would not be surprised if the Vikings squeak out another one.
All right. Yeah. I mean, the Vikings defense is an absolute mess. They rely on the offensive side. They rely on running the ball and play action. Okay. They have a very good running game with Dalvin Cook and with Dalvin Cook 2.0, Madison. But with an offense that relies on running the ball and play action and then getting the receivers some open room, I think they're going to struggle against this Bucs defense, because the Bucs defense has been far from perfect. Don't get me wrong. But one thing that has been consistent throughout the year is that they have a good rushing defense. I think, don't quote me on this, but they have a top 5 rushing defense. I believe it's 3rd in the league. They came off, I believe they came off a disappointing loss 2 weeks ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think coming off a bye and with these guys getting healthy and just Tom Brady and his poise, I think they make like a standout win right here. I think they make I think that they make a point here, and I think that they win by 10 points. I think they cover the spread. I think the Bucs win, and the points, the line is, the points is, what's the correct terminology?
The over under?
Yeah, so the over under, is 52 points. I think coming off of a bye, I think that Tom Brady with his poise, I think he gets these guys finally rallied together, okay, because it's been far enough in the season. And then, like you said, they add Antonio Brown. I think that this week they finally build a little bit more character. They find out, the identity on the offense and what they're trying to scheme. And I think that they make a standout win here, and they prove a point like, hey, Tampa Bay's here, and we're ready for a postseason push. So yeah, actually no, before that, I think they might have lost 2 in a row, honestly, before the bye. So I think they come out pissed off. I think they come out trying to prove a point, and I think they proved that point against the Vikings that can be exposed on the defensive side. And with a Vikings offense that needs Dalvin Cook to eat in order to gain an advantage in this season, I think the Bucs outdo them. So I think the Bucs cover the spread 6.5. I think they win, and I think that it's going to be high scoring. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Brady comes out, lights it up for 4 touchdown passes, and really proves the point, like this team's for real. And I think we've all been waiting for that, because it's always been hot or not. And especially coming off two game losing streak going into the bye, I think he snaps this locker room, wakes them up and says, hey, this is how we're game planning this game. We're going to win it, and we're going to win it big.
Yeah, that's one guy you do not want to push his buttons, especially in the month of December. Tom Brady will get in your face, and he doesn't care who you are, and he will rally the troops. I definitely think so. Yeah.
Yep.
Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I thought the spread would be a little bigger. It's a 7-point spread in favor, of course, of the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
We rewind to last week. I picked the Browns, and it looked at halftime like they were just going to destroy the Titans. The Titans offense somehow started clawing back. James Robinson, he's an unknown guy out of Illinois State. He's 50 yards away from the all-time rookie record for scrimmage yards in a season. He's definitely going to break that. Kudos to whoever drafted this guy, whoever found this guy, because he's playing lights out. If you give him 25 carries a game, he would be the leading rusher. Sometimes he only gets like 18, but that's just because the offense is so stagnant. The defense is on the field all the time. They're the worst defense in the league. They're one of the worst offenses in the league. They're in the bottom portion. Um, the Titans are giving up 115 yards a game on the ground. So I would think that this would be a James Robinson heavy game. I don't even know who's starting at quarterback for the Jaguars. Do you know?
No. I think it might be a game time decision. I mean, Glennon played decent last week, so they might
Yeah.
roll with him. I'm not sure of the health of the quarterbacks, but yeah, I would assume Glennon, but who knows with this team.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. The Jaguars have not won a game in quite some time. They're looking to do something to generate some kind of interest. It looks like it's just a two-way race right now with the Jags and the Jets for that first pick.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
For
I mean,
Lawrence.
for Lawrence, yeah, I'm interested to see how that all plays out. But when it comes down to this game, the Titans they're smelling the playoffs, the wild card. They're trying to get in there. They're going to pull some tricks out of their hat. I wouldn't be surprised to see tons of different trick plays or whatever it takes. Go for it on fourth, fake punts. Mike Vrabel's not afraid to, hey, we need to win this game. Let's take care of this game. Run the ball down their throat with Derrick Henry. AJ Brown's going to get involved a lot. And Corey Davis, I expect to have a huge game too. I have a close game actually, because it's going to be a run heavy game. 23-20 in favor of the Titans. I don't see the Jaguars winning a game in this division. It's We'll see what happens next year, but they have a great core with Robinson and Shark and Chenault. If Minshew's there, I mean, hey, they whatever, but they're smelling quarterbacks right now. If that's Zach Wilson, hey, this might be a fun team to watch for years to come. So it's a fun game to watch, but as far as the Jags winning, it's not going to happen this week.
All right. So yeah, 7.5 point spread in favor of the Titans in Jacksonville. I'm not sure if that's much of a home field advantage. 53 points is the over under. Really, if I'm a betting man, I'm really not taking the points. I'm not taking the spread. I'm not taking the over under. I would just take the money line for the Titans to win. Like you said, they're making they're playing for the playoffs. They're in the thick of things, trying to compete with the Colts. I think the Titans. I think that they may have a rough start just because the Jags D will be healthy, even though it's not great. I think that the Jags might control the clock. Interesting fact: James Robinson, like you said, you could see him having a big game just because the Titans defense doesn't look like a whole lot. I could see James Robinson having a big game too. Interesting stat though, like I was saying, James Robinson, third most touches in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess behind who? What two running backs?
I would think it'd be Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook.
You are correct, my friend. Dalvin Cook and of course Derrick Henry. So I think it's going to be a ground and pound game. The Titans had another rough start last week. Looked like it was going to be a blowout against the Browns, and they actually showed a lot. They showed that they could move the ball. I mean, granted, they're in somewhat prevent defense, right? But they still were moving the ball. They still got within 2 scores at the end of the game. So it was kind of promising to see the Titans that it's not really in their DNA to light it up in the air, right? AJ Brown's been dealing with injuries. I'm not sure his status this week, but I think it's a big Corey Davis game. I think he's emerging, which is crazy. But sometimes that happens. Sometimes it takes a couple of years for these guys to get in the swing of things. And Western Michigan guy, I think he went like top 10 or something like that. And no, I have him on my fantasy team, not in our league, but in another league, and I've been happy with him. I'll play him this week. But I think the Titans just have too much offensive power against this struggling Jags defense. I think it's going to be close in the beginning, maybe in the first quarter. I don't think it's going to be a blowout right away. And the Jags, it's just a team that finds a way to be in games, like it's the best, two-win team I've seen, like they just stick around, their offense is dynamic enough. They never really have a wide receiver that you feel comfortable starting in fantasy, but one person does it a game, you just don't know which one it's going to be, whether it's going to be who's the other guy there?
Chenault.
Sorry, kind of lagging out. Who's the other guy there?
Laviscus Chenault.
Yep, Chenault, and then who's the other guy?
There's Shark, Chenault, and Keelan Cole.
So if you don't know if it's going to be DJ Shark or Chenault, and then you get a little pepper or you don't know if it's going to be DJ Shark or Keelan Cole,
right?
But and then you get a little pepper of Chenault. Regardless, I mean, this Jags team, like they score points, they find a way. So it'll be a fun, interesting game to watch. Honestly, on paper, it looks like it should be completely one-sided. I don't feel comfortable betting on the Titans with the points. I think it could be a close game, but I'm going to pick the Titans to win because they have more to play for. And I think they just have more offensive firepower. And Derrick Henry, I think when he was kind of shut out last game, I think he's got something to prove. He's going to run angry, and I think he's going to have a big game, at least 2 touchdowns, I'm calling, against Jacksonville.
Whew, watch out for Derrick when he runs angry.
Yep, that is not a person you want to get angry.
This is the Red Rifles homecoming party coming back to Cincinnati, Ohio. The Red Rifle revenge game. That's what this is. Dallas Cowboys at the Cincinnati Bengals. Ball security is job security. Ezekiel Elliott has 5 lost fumbles. He just can't hold on to the ball for some reason. If he does that against the Bengals, they are in trouble. Mind you, he did have a better game last week. They got the
4.2 yards per carry, 18 carries, like 77 yards or something like that.
Yeah, the Bengals are allowing 257 yards a game in the air. So this might be the Red Rifles' time to fire it up. Dial it up. That's what they're going to say. Dial it up. Just go out there. I almost said Des Bryant. CD Lamb, same number. Michael Gallup, dial it up to these guys. See what can happen. This Bengals defense is porous. They have nothing to play for. They're trying to limp through these last couple games. I do have a close game. It's a 3.5 point spread. I don't see any reason to bet on this game with the spread or the points. I have the Cowboys winning 23-20. This is the Red Rifles' time to shine.
If any, now's the time for sure. I agree with that. And I also agree with the fact that you do not want to put your money on this game in any aspect. I think the Cowboys are just wondering, when does this season get to end? When does this season get to finally end? When do we get to lick our wounds and get ready for 2021? Because this year is a wrap. The defense, they just look depleted. They look defeated. They're giving up 5.2 yards per carry, which has got to be upwards near the top of the league, or the worst in the league. Sorry. Andy Dalton's back in Cincinnati. I'm sure there's a little extra to play for there, like you said. But I think the Bengals, I think that they really rally. I think that, Burrow's still in the heart of this locker room and really has that fighter mentality. And I just don't think, just watching the Bengals year after year kind of struggle, I've never seen them really truly tank. It seems like they're always trying to play hard. They're always trying to win the game. I think Giovanni Bernard, whereas last week I thought, and I think we both thought he was going to have a big game, which he didn't. I think he turns around and has a big game against this run defense that can be exposed. I think they lean on that. They have a lot of options on the outside with their wide receivers. T. Higgins is kind of emerging.
Mm-hmm.
You got AJ Green playing a little bit better. Granted, suspect QB play, but I think it's a very ugly game, and I would not be surprised if the Bengals pull it off. So I am pulling an upset. I think the Bengals can win. It's in Cincinnati. So, the Cowboys have to go east a little bit. And, again, I wouldn't put my money on anything on this game. It's just a game that's being played on TV. Probably not on national TV because the Cowboys are America's favorite team from decades ago. I'm actually going to pick the Bengals on this one just because I think the Cowboys are just spiraling down.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think that the Bengals just willpower in general, and they got a lot of young characters in the locker room. And I think Burrow's like, hey, we're not losers. Let's go out there and win this game. So I'm going
Wow.
to pick the Bengals to win this one.
Wow. Yeah, the Cowboys are giving up a league leading 167 yards on the ground per game.
Just wild.
Just wild. Arizona at the New York Giants with a 2.5 point spread in favor of the Cardinals. Some key missing pieces from this game: Robert Alford and Chandler Jones both put on IR. The Giants are looking like they are going to win that division. It's going to be between them and the Washington football team. They gave the Seahawks some fits. They bottled up Russell Wilson. They stifled that
Yeah, they did.
offense. It's a get right game for Kyler. They've lost 3 straight. The Giants have the 10th overall D going up against the Cardinals with the 6th overall offense. So this is going to be a nice little battle of the top 10s in each category. This is actually going to be a really good game to watch. The Giants, let's see, Danny Dimes was actually his hamstring injury still lingering. He might play. I'm thinking he's probably not going to play.
Okay.
But even if he doesn't play, I still like their chances because that defense is playing really great right now. 2.5 point spread. I don't know about that. It's hard to bet on that. I do think it's gonna be a close game. I do have it as a 2 point spread with my score 28-24 in favor of the Cardinals. So I guess you could bet on the Giants to cover,
Well,
but
you said 2024, so Cardinals would cover the 2 point spread.
oh yeah, sorry. Cardinals you could bet on, but it's going to be such a close game, I feel like. It's going to be a great game. So 28-24 Cardinals is my pick.
All right. I think you're right. I think this is really an interesting game, right? Because Cardinals are in the thick of things. Giants are playing for the division. Cardinals have lost 5 of the last 6. The Giants and even that one game out of the 6 was that Hail Mary, so they could have easily lost the last 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Giants are just hot right now. They've been winning. They've been playing close games. Defense have been playing lights out. You saw the way they got after Russell Wilson, just beating him up, took him out of the game. I mean, didn't take him out of the game, but won that W off a sack, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
Wayne Gallman's been coming around. He's someone that's been consistent for them. If you have them on your fantasy lineup, I would start them just because Cardinals rush defense is not good. They're terrible against mobile quarterbacks. So that's the interesting factor here. They're not very good against mobile quarterbacks. I believe Danny Dimes is going to play because they have so much to play for. but will he be doing much rushing, which is, a big aspect of his game and a big aspect of this New York Giants offense when Danny Dimes is playing. So if he does play, how does he look? Are they going to take that risk of running him? That's a big aspect of his game. So there's a lot of narratives in this game, and it's really intriguing. They beat Seattle in Seattle. Will they beat Arizona at home? Right, not as good of a team at home, right? And I think the answer is yes. I think they're rolling. I think this quarterback, he's a real players coach. I think he's got these guys rallied up together. And maybe in any other division it would be deflating, but I think because of the circumstances with the NFC East, they have plenty to play for. And I think they rally, and the Cardinals trending down, the Giants trending up. I may be incorrect, but I really am not comfortable saying anything on the spread. I think the Giants win the game. Now, how they win, I'm not sure, but I think they win just because they're going to be resilient, and I think their defense is going to play nasty as they've been playing. I think Kyler Murray's been exposed. He's also dealing with a shoulder injury that he says is okay, but you see on TV, you see on the screen, it looks like it's a nagging injury. And he's not running on teams like he was earlier in the year. So I think, along with most mobile quarterbacks, I mean, he can throw the ball, but he is so tiny, man. All it takes is one good shot, and this is an underrated defense that can really get after the quarterback. And I think he could possibly be in danger in this game. I'm picking the Giants, and I think another interesting bet would also pick the under, because Giants defense plays so well, because they don't put up a ton of points, and the Cardinals offense really isn't clicking. Granted, they're going to get Fitzgerald back and some other pieces. The over-under is 45. I like the under in this game just because I think it's going to be just a grueling game back and forth, just a chippy game. Both teams have a lot to play for, so it's going to be a very interesting game to watch, but I think the Giants squeak by. And I think it's one of those signature, as of late, Giants games where the Cardinals have the ball at the end of the game and you're hoping for that Hail Mary, or you're hoping for that late game finish that Kyler Murray, when healthy, I think he's very good at orchestrating. But I think at this time of the year, with him dealing with his injuries and showing what the Giants did to Russell Wilson, another mobile quarterback, an even better mobile quarterback, in my opinion, I think the Giants, I think it ends similarly. The Cardinals get the ball back at the end of the game. They have a chance to win or tie. And I think this Giants team just steps up and stops the Cardinals.
Kyler Murray might have to go play baseball if he gets hit hard enough this game.
It's not too late, Kyler.
Hey, as an A's fan, we will take you. We will take it. We'll put you in left field. It's all good.
All is forgiven.
Hey, he can hit the ball though, dude. If you've ever had a chance to watch his college baseball highlights,
you're not number one overall pick if you can't hit the ball.
Yeah, this dude can stroke it in baseball. This next game is the Chiefs at the Dolphins. The Chiefs are, of course, 7-point favorites. I don't know what to say. Like, this is Mozart on a football field. They tinker with teams.
They do.
I mean, it's just
I've never seen it.
Tyreek Hill, if he does that backflip, which was crazy. First of all, he just stood at the 1 yard line, did a backflip for a touchdown. If that doesn't get called back, I'm not in the playoffs. That's a crazy. It's entertaining to watch. Kind of what they do. It's Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. It could be Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle. CEH might not play, but when he's out there, I mean, he's still. I think he's like fifth in the league in rushing right now. He's got 4.6 yards a carry right now.
His stats don't like jump off the page, but when you see him live and you're watching the game, you're like, this guy's a difference maker.
Yeah, so he's likely back from what the reports say today. The Dolphins actually are giving up 4.5 yards a carry right now. They're playing better. They have, I think, the 15th overall defense, of course, going against the number one offense. No flaws. Patrick Mahomes, MVP. They're going to go to Miami. The weather's great. He's going to air it out. They just do whatever they want. I mean, it's all Chiefs all day. we're all just watching. We're all just living it in their world. So at this point, to pick against them would be just ludicrous. 28-10 is my pick in favor of the Chiefs. I think Tua, he had his most passing yards in his NFL career last week. I think he's going to play good, but I mean, there's just no way that the Dolphins can pull this one out.
All right. Yeah. Chiefs at Dolphins, going to the East Coast. 7-point spread, you have them covering. I have them covering as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually, no, I don't have them covering because I'm iffy about it, honestly. Sorry, I did a 180 there. I think 49.5-point spread over and under. I think that they actually go under. I think under is the bet. Just because you see this Chiefs team kind of play to its competition, like it just hit the bell, hit the nail right on the head when you said that they kind of toy with teams. It kind of seems like that. Last year, you did not see it because it was a team that was hungry to prove a point. Mm-hmm. Now they've proven that point. They beat the Niners in the Super Bowl. That Patrick Mahomes has his first ring. They already have that division locked up. It's crazy. They get behind and they can light up points like nothing, touchdown in 20 seconds, 2 touchdowns in 40 seconds, and then they'll be beating teams and they'll just kind of pump the brakes a little bit, run the ball, change the game plan up. And it almost seems like they're toying with teams. So you don't see the blowouts that you saw a lot last year. And I think because they don't really have anything to prove, they know they just have to win the game. And I think Andy Reid knows that. He's a poised head coach. And I think with this Dolphins defensive front and defensive I think Xavier Howard, he got ejected over some bogus call last week, but he's going to be playing again. I think the defense plays lights out. The defense plays tough. So I think this is going to be a closer game than a lot would think. So I'm going to go back on what I said covering the spread. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. So not enough for me comfortably to throw my money on it. I would therefore, though, throw my money on the money line for the Chiefs to win because they're going to find a way to win. If they're up, they're just going to kind of toy with them, do enough to keep the line. If they're down by any means, they're going to light it up to get back into it. So the Chiefs, no matter what, they find a way to win. And I think they'll find a way to win this one because you don't really see the Dolphins putting up points. You just don't. It's not going to be anything that is going to threaten the Chiefs. They're going to be able to control this game because of their offensive play. Their defense is not terrible, and certainly will look good against this Dolphins offense that really can't move the ball at will, not even close. So I like the under just because I feel like there's not really a threat with the Dolphins lighting it up. It's not going to be a back and forth game. But I do see the Dolphins playing them tough with the defense, and I do see the Chiefs squeaking out the win as they always do. And then maybe once they're in the playoffs, you'll see them run it up and light it up because I honestly think that they just have so many tools in their bag that they just don't want to give it all. It seems like.
True. Yeah, that play they ran against the Niners in the Super Bowl, they resurrected where they were at like the 5-yard line, and it's like from 1940 where like all of a sudden everybody flips over to the right. You know what I'm talking about? And it was a direct snap to Damian Williams. That's like a play that they waited all year to run. That's kind of like the Patriots. Like they will wait.
That's so Andy Reid.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Patriots in 2014, they practiced that play on the goal line all year for if there's a goal line stand, you're going to jump in and get in and trap that ball, and it paid off. Like the Chiefs, you might be right. They might have some stuff that they're just waiting for the playoffs to just unleash, and we're all just going to be watching like, holy shit.
Spectators. Yep.
Out of 32 teams,
which pains me to say, but
I know they're the only team in the league to average over 300 yards a game in all the NFL. They're averaging 314 right now. So yeah, it's just offensive barrage at this point.
Yeah.
Indianapolis Colts at the Las Vegas Raiders. It's a 2.5-point spread in favor of the Chiefs. Vegas is not playing too well at home. I think they're like 2-4 at home. The Colts have the 5th overall defense. They're still stepping up. The Raiders might not have Josh Jacobs. It looks like he's likely out with a sprained ankle. That's gonna. I don't know. I don't. That's gonna have huge effects because Devontae Booker has actually come out of the smoke to be a reliable backup running back. So, and Darren Waller had the 4th biggest game from a tight end ever.
Helped you out.
Help me out. So they can definitely rely on these guys. Henry Ruggs is emerging, which we knew he was going to eventually. A guy with that much speed.
Tyreek Hill 2.0.
Exactly. So without Josh Jacobs, I still like the Raiders at home. I think it's tough for the Colts to go into a place they've never played, even though there's no fans in the stands. It's going to be a defensive game for sure. But the Colts, interesting stat, the fastest ball carrier from last week was Naheem Hines. I think he was clocked at like 22 miles an hour. The dude just come out of nowhere too. He's a freak. Phil Rivers,
He's like what we were hoping the Jet would be, Jared McKinnon.
right? Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
This could go either way. I have the Raiders winning 19-13, and it's gonna be a good game actually.
All right. Who did the Raiders play last week? The Jets, right?
Yeah,
And
the
they
Jets.
got bailed out on that Hail Mary at the end of the game. I originally I liked the Raiders. They showed they were a balanced offense early in the year. Now that Jacobs has been out for a couple weeks, it looked like the first week that Booker could kind of take that load. Last week did not show that. I think they need Jacobs back desperately. So if he plays, that's definitely a factor. Their defense is just god awful. Whereas I think that could have exposed the Colts a little bit, especially on the road with a good pass defense against an immobile Philip Rivers. I don't see that in this game. The Colts defense have allowed just 3.8 yards per carry, which is fairly good. So, that's why I say they need Jacobs in this matchup. I don't think Devin Booker can cut it against this big defensive front. I think that DeForest Buckner has been a huge impact on this defensive line and the defense as a whole. Finally saw an emergence out of Jonathan Taylor, which is a great sign because if they have the Thunder and the Lightning both moving in sync, this offense can be dangerous. You have Michael Pittman that's emerging as a rookie wide receiver. You finally got to see T.Y. Hilton emerge last week. Maybe we see more of the same, which is a great sign for the Colts. They're still playing for that division, especially the Titans coming off a loss like that. So I think the Colts, they come up fired up on the road. I think that Jonathan Taylor continues it, has a big game with a little sprinkle of Naheem Hines doing his flashback stuff and the crazy stuff that he does. Maybe we see a couple more flips in the end zone. And I think the Colts actually win this one. Don't really have any advice on the spread or the points, but I think the Colts just find a way to win this game. And like you said, the Raiders have not been playing well at home. I don't think that it's a huge advantage. And I think the Colts expose them and punch them right in the mouth, especially with that defense and that strong running game.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I agree. It could go either way. The Raiders have kind of lost some steam these last couple weeks.
It's going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I like watching those games in Vegas. It's a new experience too. It's something we've never seen before. Football in Las Vegas.
Death Star.
That's exactly what. Yeah, it's such a crazy stadium design too. Just a black circle in the middle of the desert.
Cool. So what their owner said was, even though Las Vegas actually let them bring in I think they allowed 5,500 fans into the stadium. No. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
we're opening up the Death Star. We're opening it up real. So golly, next year
Oh,
it's going to be a nice excuse for me to go to Vegas, enjoy the
yeah.
pool, enjoy the girls, enjoy the sun, and go see some football.
It's gonna be crazy. Yeah, that's gonna be tight. New York Jets at the
Can you believe it? Yeah.
Seahawks. This is the largest spread of the weekend, 13.5 in favor of the Seahawks. They will definitely cover. They're gonna win, and in a blowout, it's gonna be ugly. I don't see how the Seahawks lose this game, especially after they lost to the Giants. They're gonna be fired up. They're taking on the other team
Yeah.
from New York, 0-12, or are they 0? I don't even know. They just can't win a game anymore. So I lost count at this time. 41-17. With the Seahawks taking this, it would have to take the parting of the seas for the Jets to win this game.
Yeah. No, I mean I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, they've been playing decent, I guess, but now you have Denzel Mims out. Now you have Frank Gore out with concussion protocol. You have Perryman suspect right now. Um, and then you have a Seattle team that's been struggling as of late. You have Russell that has been turning the ball over, that hasn't really been of his identity lately, or
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. But he's been turning the ball over. I think over the last 3 weeks, he has just as many or more turnovers than Wentz. And whenever you're in the same statistical category as Carson Wentz, it's not a good thing. So you know what? I think that this is the game that they turn around, and I think they're going to play really pissed off at home in Seattle. That's a recipe for a blowout. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the Jets do somehow make waves to like score the ball, especially against the Seattle defense, who even though they've been playing a little bit better, I think you see some garbage time points, but not much. I'm
Mm-hmm.
calling this one is my lock of the week because I think that they cover the spread. I think that they win the game. I think that this is a good game to bet over. It's 47 points, which is not that much. And I have the score 41-10. I'm calling it all Seattle. And I hate Seattle Seahawks, but I just know this team very well. I know they're going to come out fired up. I know Jamal Adams, being a younger guy, he's going to fire up that defense. And I think they're going to make a statement and say, hey, Seattle's back on the map. We're taking this division. And I think if Russell can control the turnovers, which I think he's a seasoned, poised vet in this league now, and I think they just come out pissed and they cover all aspects of the game. 41-10.
41-10 from you, 41-17 from me. Another interesting note, Rashad Penny hasn't played since December 2019. He had a torn ACL. He is back at practice today, which means next week he will be activated.
Interesting.
And that could be something to look forward to with him and Chris Carson in the mix. Rashad Penny adding to that team for the playoffs. Seems like the Seahawks have just unlimited running backs, always just circulating through. Who is that guy from Thomas Rawls? They had Thomas Rawls. They just have all these guys.
Yep. And then they got Homer, who's a decent little scat back.
DJ Dallas. DJ
Dallas. So, they have unlimited backups, but Chris Carson's coming. This is a contract year for Chris Carson. So he's had put a couple of string of games back together since his injury, and I think he's gaining more health. And, when you have a team that's pissed off and a running back that's playing for a contract, I think this is a recipe for a storm that's going to weather the Jets and improve a big point here.
Yeah, and just I've never looked at the Seahawks as the 31st overall defense. Like that's just, I have to like double look at it. Like what? Like
Legion
that's
of
just
whom?
crazy. That's just crazy to see that.
Legion of whom?
Next game on the docket, another blowout. Green Bay Packers, the second overall defense or offense at the Detroit Lions. This is a 7.5 point spread. It's going to be a lot more than that, guys. The Packers are putting up tons of yards per game. They have the second overall offense. Uh, them and the Buccaneers are at the top as far as rushing yards right now, 1,490. Um, but their passing game is just spectacular. I think Rodgers is barely getting touched every game. Of course, he always carves up the Lions. Second overall offense, 400 yards a game against a team that doesn't have a coach. I just don't I can't see the Lions winning this game in Detroit. I do have it a little close actually because I think the Lions with Matt Stafford are starting to click a little bit. Kenny Galladay is likely out for this one, which is big. But Swift is likely to return from his concussion. I have the Packers winning 45-35. This is my lock of the week. The Packers just look like, besides the Chiefs, the most complete team in the NFL right now.
All right. Their first matchup in week 2, Packers put a whomping on them, 42-21. I don't really like the spread here at 7.5 points. I think that Detroit keeps it close, like you said. I think that they're really rallying behind their new coach. I think that I think that 55 points over and under, I think that they go over. The Detroit Lions they've gone 11 straight games over at home. So that's a good sign there. So if you're a betting fan, if you're a betting person, I'd go over just because you know how the Packers can score, and the Detroit Lions have not disappointed with scoring points. Defense, though, allowing 66% completion, and that's just that's over the whole season. So against the best, arguably the best QB in the league, you're going to see that maybe 75% completion, which is just a nightmare. Rodgers statistically and historically is great in the dome. And I think he really eats in this one. Yes, looks like Detroit Lions are getting Swift back, so that's going to help with their offensive power. Galladay still on the fence. If they have him back, even better. If not, it is what it is. But I do not like the spread. I do think it's going to be a little closer just because of the offensive firepower of Detroit and how they've been clicking lately, like you said. But yeah, I'm not picking against the Packers on this one. I think they know this team very well. Aaron Rodgers plays great in Detroit. Like I said, their defensive, their pass defense has been very suspect, and I think Rodgers takes advantage of that. So the Packers win. I would bet the over, and I think it's just going to be a light 'em up game.
Yeah,
high powered.
Yeah, definitely. The next game on the docket are the Atlanta Falcons at the Los Angeles Chargers. Atlanta is actually favored by 2.5 in this one. They have the means to put together points. We all know that. They definitely struggle on the defensive side of the ball. 27th overall defense. They are throwing for 270 yards per game. They might be missing some key pieces in this one. From what I saw today, they have 3 questionables, which are some big questionables. Julio Jones, Todd Gurley, and Hayden Hurst. I think they're all going to play, but they are all questionable with limited practices. So that is something to monitor. The Chargers, on the other hand, we've said this all year. Their defense is just dog poop. No two ways around that. It's really hard to pick them when they're going up against a high octane offense with Matt Ryan. He can throw to, pick a guy out of the stands. If this wasn't COVID, get the peanut guy to line up for receiver. He's still completing passes.
He's
at a
good
high
for
rate.
5 fantasy points.
Yeah, I do have the Falcons winning this game 34-27. I have it a high score just because Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, a lot of guys that can put up yards really quickly. This is going to be a fun game to watch, though, for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. It'll definitely be an intriguing game. I think any game that the Falcons play, you tune in for just because they can score points and they keep the game close with their defense. But yeah, all they do is score, score, score all year, and find a way to lose games. As of late, not as much because their defense is finally in sync. Looks like they're definitely improving. I think that they have a coach that they're playing for. On the opposite end, with the Chargers, I feel like Anthony Lynn's job is definitely on the line. Um, they got goosed last week. They put up a big donut, so look for them to bounce back for sure. Weather is really not in play. It's game in LA. Gurley put out a quote saying, "I helped built this house, and I can help tear it down," is what he said. So if he does play, I don't know how much stock you should put into that, but I kind of like that quote, and I think that the Falcons continue their good play, and I think that the Chargers will definitely put up a fight. I'm not really gonna put anything on the spread just because I'm not touching this game personally. But if you like the Falcons and I like them to win, 2.5 point spread ain't much. I would be fine probably putting money on that. Like I said, not me personally, but if you feel good about the Falcons. But regardless, I feel like they win. And I think that the Chargers muster up enough offense to catch up with Atlanta's offense in this game, especially coming after a donut. The 49 points over under, I think, is reached. I think it's surpassed. I would confidently bet on the over if I was betting on anything on this game. And then you have Young Hoku, who's looks like the best kicker in NFL right now, right along there with Justin Tucker. The guy is just fun to watch. He can kick it from anywhere on the field. So good for him. He's fun to watch, man. He's automatic right now. So I think you put those all together and the Falcons just score points, whether it be touchdowns or field goals, and they find a way to win this game.
Feel bad for stadium staff in LA. They have a Thursday night game, which will probably get over the wee hours of Thursday night before Friday morning. And then they have to flip it over and host another game Sunday afternoon. That's just hey, shout out to you guys for for making that happen. Hopefully you get some rest in between.
Yeah.
Big game on the docket next. The Washington football team at the 49ers in Glendale, Arizona.
In the desert.
In the desert. Is this a revenge game for Alex Smith? I don't think so. We'll see.
Years past.
Yeah, years and years past. But who got the best out of the deal? Was it Jim Harbaugh or Alex Smith? Definitely Alex Smith. Harbaugh's looking like he's not going to have a job next year. So, hey, good
career-wise, but short-term, definitely Harbaugh because he went to the Super Bowl and everything else. But yeah,
right. They just have to get to Alex Smith somehow. The pass rush, like we alluded to earlier, has to get going. Fred Warner needs to get some sacks. He needs to have more than 6 tackles. They need to play better all-around defense. They actually played good run defense. They didn't give up a run for more than 15 yards against the Bills. So if they can keep that containment on the run and then focus on the pass, I think they'll be okay. Because looks like there's no Antonio Gibson in this one, which is great for the defense. The spread is 3.5 in favor of the Nines. I have this as a close game just because the Washington football team has a stellar defense as well, and Nick Mullins is Nick Mullins. He's got to figure out how to make this work. and if he doesn't figure it out, like, throw CJ Beathard in there. I mean, I know it's crazy to say, but why not? Who knows? 21-20 49ers. This is going to be a great game to watch. It's the 225 game. It's going to be fun seeing Smith out there for the Washington football team going up against a Niners team that has a lot to prove this week.
Yeah. So early on in the year, we lost a close game to Cardinals, and then we just wiped out New York. We wiped out both New York teams, actually, with a depleted offense, a depleted team. we're we're pretty healthy in regards to the team. I mean, granted, we don't have key positions like our pass rush and our quarterback, but all other positions are relatively healthy. I think that it was a tough, eye-opening loss against the Buffs, and it's like, man, when is this team going to string wins together? This is the perfect time to do so when we play the Redskins and then Dallas, right? Back to back. Yeah. And I think that we make a statement game on this one, honestly, and maybe there's a little bias, me being a San Francisco fan, but honestly, I feel like the Niners defense plays so different and so well against stationary quarterbacks. And Alex Smith cannot run. He's running on a leg and a half. All right. They don't have that running game that they need from Gibson. I believe they have what's his name that played for Tampa Bay last year. Who's that running back?
Oh yeah, Peyton Barber is getting the start.
Yep. Yeah, so Peyton Barber, average running back, will shut him down. McKissick will get a lot more looks. They love him as their scat back. They'll do a little dump and dive to him. But the defense will keep it close in the beginning, but I think our defense will be even more resilient against this Redskins offense, where pretty much we just have to key on McLaurin and then an emerging Logan Thomas, which I feel like we played pretty well against tight ends. I don't know our stats on that one, but I could see it being close in the first half, and I could see us blowing the lid right open in the second half. So I think the Niners win. I think that they cover, and I think very sneaky, I feel like we're going to become – I think it's going to surpass the over-under of 43.5, because I think the Redskins could score some garbage time points, which we've shown to give up. And then I think Kyle Shanahan's game plan is just going to be very, very good in this game. He knows Washington's personnel, even though that was a while ago. He knows a good amount of that personnel.
True.
I think Trent Williams plays with force to show them, like, hey, this is what a real team looks like. And I think that the 49ers come out pissed. And I think that we make a statement, because even last year in that gritty game against the Redskins in terrible football conditions, we won by 3 points. So I think this is the statement game. I don't think that passes by Kyle Shanahan 2 times in a row where we just squeak by a close game. I think it's close in the first half, and then we just open the lid right open with our jet sweeps, with our dump and dives to our athletic yak pack, and I think we get this one done, and I think we get it done in fashion. So I think we cover the spread, and I could see it being over 43.5 points. Niners.
Yeah, a lot of good points. Trent Williams, I mean, they mistreated the hell out of him. He is going to be a revenge game for him for sure. And then Alex Smith, did you see his left leg? Did you see the photo?
The cleat just went right into his foot, started bleeding.
Yeah, and
his other leg.
His other leg. It wasn't just like a little, like Kurt Schilling, a little bit of blood. This is like Quentin Tarantino, a death scene. Like, that shit was gushing blood.
It was nasty. I'm like, what did they hit a vein?
Like, you just feel bad for the guy. Like, you could have lost 2 legs in the span of a year, and you're still out there playing football. Like, you got to give that guy respect.
Definitely.
It's going to be a crazy game, because Shanahan does know a lot of personnel, and I do think the defense is going to come out pissed, like you said. The whole team is going to come out pissed, because I mean, that game was just ugly. The score 34-24
wasn't as close as the game.
It wasn't as close as the game. Yeah, it doesn't dictate it, but this is going to be a fun game to watch at 2:00. So be sure to tune into that one. It's going to be great. The New Orleans Saints travel to Philly, take on the Eagles. Is Jalen Hurts starting? I think he is.
It looks like he is. Doug Peterson, if he was smart, he would just be Wentz is starting, and then throw in Jalen Hurts. But Doug Peterson is not the brightest tool in the shed. He is not. And he's like, we're going to roll with Jalen Hurts. So now teams get to game plan for Jalen Hurts.
They'll go watch those 3 plays or whatever, however many plays.
We'll probably watch those, and then it's college tape too.
Right. They have the Saints favored by 7.5. Taysom Hill threw for 232 last week, which is a good sign. We finally got to see a little bit of his arm with Michael Thomas. That connection is just getting better and better every week. Drew Brees is coming off IR this week, but all the reports are saying he will not play. So we do get Taysom Hill for one more week. So we will get to see what he can do against a team that, let's be honest, Eagles fans, it's over. Move on, and it's over. This season is over. You're going to see what you have with Jalen Hurts. If you don't have it, you're going to get somebody in the draft. It doesn't look like you do have it because he's been thrown into the worst situation any rookie quarterback can be thrown into. I mean, let's be honest. This is going to be
besides Alex Smith.
yeah, but yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That was a bad situation too. I have the Saints winning 23-14. Home field advantage means nothing. If there were fans in the stands, the Eagles might have a little bit, but not this season. I just don't see it. All these receivers are disappointments. Jalen Rager's looking like a disappointment. We said all this last week. It's all still ringing true. We might see Hurts get benched and Wentz come in, and then Wentz get it's just a mess. So I got the Saints winning this one. They're the number one defense in the league. There's no way in hell that rookie quarterback's going to play against them and have any kind of success.
Yeah, I mean, besides the element of surprise, really not much. Jalen Reed's especially as a rookie quarterback, and with his DNA, he's going to be one read and run the ball. So it'll be really intriguing to watch this game because you'll see Taysom Hill running the ball and you'll see Jalen Hurts running the ball. So it's kind of cool to see that on both sides of the field. As you alluded to, defense is lights out on the Saints. Way too much for this Eagles struggling offense to handle.
Right.
But regardless, they just come out with weird stuff every single week to somewhat stay in the game. So I'm really not going to count them out of this game like a blowout by any means. I think it's the Saints' third road game that does take a toll. Where they're normally used to playing in the dome, nice, easy conditions. Eagles and Philly, it's going to be colder. I think this defensive front is a big front. Defensive line on the Eagles it's a very underrated defensive line just because they're not a winning football team right now and they're on the field all the time. But they got some big boys that get after it. Granted, it's Taysom Hill; he can take hits. So I think it's a fun matchup to watch. I don't feel comfortable betting on anything except that the Saints will win this game and that I could surprisingly see it being over 44 points just because I think that the Eagles just find ways to score points randomly every single week. And I think with Jalen Hurts just being a wild card, I think he lays it out on the field, trying to prove himself. And I think he finds some success just because there's not a whole lot of NFL tape on him. He's kind of this unknown quarterback. And even at Alabama, actually you had Alabama and then you had Oklahoma. Yeah. So, I think there's a little mystery there and he could spark something for the Eagles. As far as them winning the game, I give them no shot. I think the Saints win this game. But I think it could be a little bit more intriguing that it may seem on paper. If it's on, I'll certainly tune in, especially if Jalen Hurts is playing, because I think he's years beyond himself as far as maturity level. And I think he can rally these troops to at least play in the game. And I don't think it's ever in Philly's DNA to give up. So I think it's going to be a hard fought game, but I think the Saints just have too much talent on that side, on both sides of the ball to lose this game. So Saints on the road, I think an over would be an interesting bet just because I think there's going to be points scored in this, no matter how you take it, special teams, offense, defense. But yeah, Saints win this one.
They're going to win the game in the trenches. Lots of running with Latavius and Kamara.
I think so.
Yeah. A game that we brush by is the Broncos at the Panthers. The Panthers are a 3.5 point favorite. New reports came out today that Christian McCaffrey tweaked the quad while working out at home and didn't tell anybody until recently. Matt Rule just came out today and said it. So he does have the shoulder injury. Now he has the quad injury. He is questionable. He could play. He might not play. We still don't know. DJ Moore has COVID, or was in contact with somebody. He's out. So we're going to see a lot of Robbie Anderson. The Broncos defense, that was their best performance of the season against the Chiefs. You know, they hadn't beat the Chiefs, and we're going on November 2015, last time the Broncos beat the Chiefs. So for them to come out and play that kind of game they did against the Chiefs was pretty remarkable. Their defense is holding everything together at this point. Brandon McManus is holding everything together. But as far as Drew Lock, as far as Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy, you can't trust these guys. You don't know what you're going to get. Phillip Lindsay does not look the same anymore. Everybody just looks shook up. They look like they're too comfortable. And Vic Fangio should have never been a head coach. That has to be one of the worst hirings ever.
There's a lot of bad hirings from the Broncos, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, it kind of fits the mold of the John Elway bad picks.
Yeah, his whole mantra was let's death by inches. And it looks like it's death by miles at this point, because their offense is just god awful. Panthers are 3.5-point favorites. I see it as a wider margin. I think they're going to air it out to Robbie, or to who's their other receiver?
Curtis Samuel.
And Mike.
But I think he's on the COVID list too. I may be wrong, but I think him and DJ are.
Okay. So we're going to expect to see a lot of Mike Davis. And if Christian McCaffrey's out there, it's a wrap, because he's going up against his childhood team, 33-13 in favor of the Panthers.
Wow, big win. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't think I've seen the Panthers blow out anyone this year. And I may be incorrect, but just from my recent memory. And the Broncos just have a defense where they hang in games. Even when they get blown out like they did against the Atlanta Falcons, they still came back. Granted, it was against the Falcons, but I mean, they've seen it. Defense has been definitely, a positive note in a pretty doom and gloom year. Drew Lock continues to battle with turnovers. I don't think he's the answer. I think they'll be looking elsewhere soon. Maybe he can groom underneath another veteran quarterback. That seems to be the Broncos' way, at least until John Elway gets out of office. With DJ Moore being out, with Samuel probably being out, with C-Mac being hurt, certainly I'm going to keep an eye on that COVID list closer to this game. I don't feel comfortable placing any bets on this game, certainly. 46.5-point spread. I think that's dead on. But I'm going to pick actually the Broncos on this one, just because I think that they could control the clock a little bit with Melvin Gordon. I think that if they limit the turnovers, they can be in on it. I don't think the Panthers have the offense to really blow this team out, especially the way that the defense has been playing. So I think the Broncos they get those sneaky wins here and there. You know, they almost got it against KC. I think that gives them enough momentum going against this Carolina Panthers football team that I'm gonna pick the Broncos. But if they get any of those three guys back, if they get C-Mac back, if they get Curtis Samuel, if they get DJ Moore, even if you give me just one out of the three, I think the Panthers have enough to squeak one out.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, if they don't have either three playmakers, then it's just a struggling, hurt, injury battling Terry Bridgewater with Robbie Anderson and Mike Davis. I don't think it's enough for this Broncos defense. So I'm picking the Broncos to win the game right now. But if any of those three, Curtis Samuel, C-Mac, DJ Moore, if any of those three are playing on Sunday, I'm switching my pick and I'm going back to the Panthers.
Okay. You don't make it your lock of the week?
It's not my lock. No, opposite.
The Sunday night game with Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth is the 11-1 Pittsburgh Steelers at the trending upward Buffalo Bills. We're going to have some Mafia members in the house. They do have the Bills favored to win by 2.5. This is definitely the game of the week. All eyes on this, regardless if it was Sunday Night Football. It's just so fun to watch. Cole Beasley, he had his biggest game of his whole career last game. Like I said,
fantasy points.
yeah, and the best awareness right now is coming from Josh Allen's eyes. Like you said earlier, he's not going to force anything. He's going to throw it out of bounds. If he has to roll out, he's going to get a couple yards running. He'll dump it off to Diggs, or he'll find Cole Beasley up the middle. It's just all things are clicking offensively. The Steelers have the third overall defense. All things are clicking on their side too. Big Ben's looking like age is somewhat catching up to him. That's something to monitor. And James Conner might be back. I think today he was reinstated from the COVID list, which is definitely a big help because Benny Snell could not carry that load. Man, I think Pittsburgh is a little shook up from Washington, and I think Mike Tomlin said something like 2 weeks ago they played like a JV team. So I have no idea what he said to him this last week. It had to have been something crazy because that's just how he is. He's gonna tell it how it is.
Coach, yeah.
Yeah. I have the Bills winning 30-24. That's the spread is so close. So I would have the Bills covering, but it could literally go either way. This is going to be a great game in Buffalo. I haven't looked at the weather, but I'm sure it's not going to be great.
No, yeah, it's gonna be kind of a nastier game in Buffalo, weather-wise. But two teams that are used to playing in the cold, so I don't think that'll be a huge factor. Pittsburgh defense, I think they snap right back into shape. With any of these undefeated teams, it's easy to fall into a trap game, especially against an improving Redskins football team that plays teams tough. So. I think did you call the you didn't call did you call the Redskins game?
I did. Yeah, I picked
You did.
them. Yep.
Yeah. So you called that upset, which was impressive, but it wasn't out of reach, because you see this a lot with the undefeated teams. It's a long season, and sometimes I think that's what it does take is facing, a team that is certainly undervalued, and that is certainly underestimated, like the Redskins were, to catch a unexpected loss like that. But I think that this is a poised enough team, especially with a leader like Ben who's been there and knows that this is kind of his last hurrah to pick up another ring. Like, hey, we gotta come to play. I have this as my game of the week as well. I don't have anything to say about the spread. I think the Steelers actually win this game, just because when you look at Josh Allen, he looks good and then he looks bad. He looks good, he looks bad. And I think this is a very easy game for him to look bad. And the reason why I tell you that is because, like we mentioned earlier, this is a quarterback who likes to hold on to the football. And against teams that don't have a good pass rush and that don't turn the ball over like the Niners, this is the opposite with the Steelers. They are top 5 leading the league in turnovers as a defense, and they get after the ball. So if you make those mistakes and you hold on the ball too long, you're going to see strip sacks, you're going to see tipped balls, you're going to see interceptions. And I can see that being as a recipe for disaster against this still young Josh Allen, who's still developing, that has all the talent in the world, but coming off a very confident 4 touchdowns, 400 passing yards, no interceptions against the Niners, to go up and be confident against the Steelers is going to be a whole nother ball game. And I think that the Steelers has a chip on their shoulders coming off a loss. So I think they do what they got to do to win this game. I think it's going to be a nitty gritty game. I don't think it's going to be an aired out game, especially because the Steelers haven't been able to move the ball as easily as they'd like to. With Homeboy coming to run the ball, I think that they established the run game more so than they're used to, especially as of late with Benny Snell. And I think it's just going to be one of those smash mouth football games that I like to predict every week, with not two running games, but just the style of play that they like to play. Because we know that this Bills offensive identity now has shifted to an air out game. And I don't think it's going to come as easy against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who certainly are not leaving with a good taste in their mouth against losing to the Washington football team. So I like the under on this game just because I think it's going to be a nitty gritty game. And I think that Josh Allen gets a little bit of a reality check against this Pittsburgh defense.
Yeah, definitely. And the Pittsburgh offense is 21st overall, so they need to start figuring it out. We don't know who the number one receiver is yet. It could be Juju. It's
looking
like
Deontay
Johnson. Yeah. He's had a lot of drop issues at the beginning. He seemed to have been cleaning those up. So this is going to be a fun game to watch. Always fun to see my boy Collinsworth and Al calling a great game like this. So
it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah,
I'm not going to miss it.
Nope. Last game of the week. This is the Monday nighter. Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns, who are going to go to the playoffs for the first time since I think it's 2002.
Woo-hoo.
Actually, no. I think it's before that. The last winning season was 2002. So this is huge for them.
Was that with Peyton Hillis, or was that after that? That was after that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is way back. This is with Tim Couch, I think, when the last time they went.
Jeez.
Quarterback. Baltimore is favored by 1.5. The Browns are 5-1 at home right now. So when they're at home, it's lights out. That defense is playing inspired. Finally looks like Lamar Jackson is the old Lamar Jackson if he can continue. The first 11, 12 weeks, he would see guys downfield and try to force the ball down there. Now he's tucking and running, and he's just running upfield because he's so damn fast. If he can keep doing that, the game's going to be a lot closer than it is. The Browns are giving up only 104 rushing yards a game, which is in the bottom tier. So they can definitely contain the run. J.K. Dobbins is emerging. I don't know if you saw Dez Bryant on, I think it was Instagram. He posted that he has COVID. He tested positive, and that he's going to retire. He's like, I'm sick. Yeah, I'm sick of this. I'm done. I quit.
Oh God.
So now
queen.
Yeah. So now that he tested positive for COVID, Dez Bryant's career is over. Is what it's looking like.
Lord.
So there's no Dez Bryant, which doesn't really matter. And Baker Mayfield, whew. Hey,
he played a game.
Hey, he put his foot in our mouths for sure.
Yeah.
And his commercials just get better and better and better.
He's like a great actor. I'm not gonna lie. That's the best aspect of his game is his commercial play.
for real, dude. Like some of those commercials, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they're funny, man.
Like they're funny. I have the Browns winning 26-24 just because they're so stellar at home. But division game, AFC North, this could go either way. This is going to be a really good football game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I like the offensive play calling with the Browns. I mean, they've really established a true identity that they have never had since I've grown up. I've never seen the Browns really have an identity and like have anything in favor really. But they have an identity, and it's ground and pound. I mean, with Nick Chubb just running out of your mind. I mean, with him and Dalvin Cook, I mean, besides, Derrick Henry, who's a different style of runner, because he's just a north and south grinded out running back. I think Nick Chubb is more so aligned with Dalvin Cook, where they have the burst to make these crazy plays and they can still break tackles. That's my number one and number two running backs, just in my opinion, as far as talent wise in the league right now and the way that they're playing. I mean, Nick Chubb does some crazy stuff. He's so fun to watch. And then when you need to start slowing teams down, they pound it with the donkey, with Kareem Hunt, the donkey. So I've really come to enjoy this Browns offense, and Ravens. Like you said, Lamar is sticking back to what he's good at, and I think that's great. And I think John Harbaugh is best coaches ever to put a quarterback like that in a position to be successful. And if you look at his win-loss column, I mean, the guy he's a gamer. He wins football games. So nothing against Lamar, but I do think that the league has caught up to him. That's why you're not seeing these MVP stats amongst maybe some other factors. But I still think he's a good quarterback. I still think he's starting caliber. I don't think that we'll ever see an MVP Lamar again. No. And that's just me. Maybe it's just me, but that's how I feel. So I think he'll probably have an average career, in my opinion. If they stack talent around him, he could have a Super Bowl under his belt. I don't think it's this year, just because I've seen a lot of holes in this Ravens offense. I think they need to bring even more tools around Lamar to be successful, especially on the wide receiver position. I do think that the Ravens have a better coach, and I think that they're a very good franchise. But I'm rolling with you on this one. I think the Cleveland Browns, I think they have something here. I think they built chemistry finally, right? Because it looked like it was all kind of paper thin in the beginning, like there was a lot of hype. And I think that everyone wanted them to be good, and they certainly had the personalities to be good. But I really, truly think that Odell Beckham Jr. being out of the picture, I think it really focused this team up. I don't think there's a lot of me's on this team. I think it really is all about the team now. And it's really quite beautiful to see. And the way that they just smacked up the Titans, whether or not how much they ended up losing at the end, just because that's garbage points, I was very, very impressed with this Browns offense. I have not seen that from Cleveland in my whole lifetime. So I'm going to roll with the Browns on this one. They're good at home. They're great at home. They're going to run the ball. They're going to control the clock. I think that they're gaining momentum. Baker's not going to come out like he did last week against this defense, because it's a much better defense than Tennessee. That being said, I think he's above average quarterback. And I think he's proven that at this point, especially with the complementary football of the running game. I think it's Monday Night Football. I think the Browns organization has been playing with a chip on their shoulder for the last 20 years. And I think that finally they can show it. And I think what a more perfect game to do it against an interdivision rival, at home on Monday night under the lights. Myles Garrett playing in the second game back since what was it, COVID or some sort of, or did he get hurt? He was out.
COVID, I believe. Yeah.
COVID. So Myles Garrett's back. I think Denzel Ward's back. Don't quote me on that one, but I think this is just a revenge game. I think the Browns lost 38-6 in their first matchup. I don't see that being the script this game. So I'm rolling with Cleveland. I like the under just because I think it's going to be a nasty football game, which I love to watch. And I'm picking the Browns in this one, and I'm certainly tuning in. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I think me and your brother were talking about it on Saturday. Their number one priority at the Ravens needs to be getting Michael Thomas, because he obviously does not want to play for the Saints anymore. That's evident to me, at least. I think he would fit perfectly with the Ravens, with just that whole atmosphere, the whole attitude. Michael Thomas
spreading the field too.
Yeah, and he's a guy that's gonna, in a pile, like he's throwing bows. He's a fighter. That fits perfect.
He fits that mold. Yeah,
he does.
That mold.
And if it's not Michael Thomas, they need to get some receivers in there. Like it's crazy. It's
pretty sad.
It's pretty sad.
They had the tight end, but the outside is pretty sad for sure. I can't even name another wide receiver besides Marquise Brown.
Yeah, let me. Shit.
no
Des
Bryant.
Des Bryant is retired, so
Yeah, yeah, can't have him.
what a baby.
Yeah, I know. Jeez.
Hey, watch out, guys. Week 14. We're coming up on the end of the season. Be sure to like and subscribe. A lot more content coming your way, more podcasts, more videos. I also want to give a shout out to 5280 Sports with Jay Jordan. That's a new podcast series coming out soon. Developed just all sports with Jay Jordan hosting it locally here in Colorado. Look out for that on Planet Seed Entertainment. Ryan, thanks again for coming on. Always appreciate it. I know it's been a long week for both of us, but we made some time.
Yep.
Thanks, brother.
Always make time for this, man. I really have a great time, and you know, whether we're doing this for us or for, you know, for anything else, like, we're putting out good content, and it's just going to get better and better. I just wish that we would have started on week 1. That's my only thing.
Yeah, next year for sure. We're jumping in week 1.
Awesome, man. Always happy to be on, man. Always get excited whenever I get the invite, so I appreciate it, Andrew.
Oh yeah, go Nines, big week.
Oh yeah.
Peace out.